Hi, I'm Sandy.
And I'm Paul, and we're aboard Sea Oasis. We always enjoyed outdoor activities and exploring, and so now we're spending time exploring in the San Juan Islands, as well as Canada, and eventually Alaska.
So welcome aboard.
Starting in the bottom right of the map, we'll begin in Friday Harbor, which is our home port, and we'll continue on up to Customs at Bedwell Harbor, then on to Montague Harbor, and going up in through Dodd Narrows, and then into Nanaimo. This trip represents 54 nautical miles, almost 8 hours of cruising. But we're not going in that dinghy. I don't care what Paul said. In case you haven't been following us and wonder where we go on this channel, I'd like to direct you to our blog where I have written our plans for the Sea Oasis and our North Pacific adventures from Seattle to Juneau. This will take some time, so I hope you'll be with us for every one of our adventures and even plan some for yourself. There are a lot of islands to explore and things to see and do. Before I left, I spent some time carefully planning a menu and buying provisions and doing laundry. Then the fun part of the trip had finally arrived. We were cruising, leaving Friday Harbor behind and looking forward to Canada's beauty. This is a two-part series, so the next time we're together, we'll be sharing the second half of this trip, and I hope you join us for that one as well. The trip across the Canadian border was smooth and uneventful. And here we are making our first stop, which is Bedwell Harbor, to clear customs. Bedwell Harbor is an official point of entry for boaters from the United States. You should contact them and tell them you're arriving on VHF 66A, which is the channel for all of the Canadian harbors. Boating tourists arriving from the United States are required to go to Canada Customs before docking at the marina or continuing further into Canada. Canadian Customs is open from May 1st to September 30th. Be sure to have your passport and a Nexus Pass, and also we had global entry cards. We chose to keep moving because we wanted to arrive for the night at Montague Harbor, which was our second and last stop for the day. Here we're approaching Montague Harbor, and I'm watching Paul's hand motions to maneuver the boat exactly where he wants to drop anchor. Of course, we want to go out and explore. We loaded little Gracie and ourselves into the dinghy, and off we go. Gracie's completely in her element when we're out exploring. She loves the wind and the smells and the water.
So we're still at Montague Harbor, but we moved because we're a little picky. We like to see the mountains. I don't know if you guys can see them as well as we can. And Paul says it's me that's picky. Maybe. I think he's picky too. And we have a beach over there. I don't know if you can see that. And there's only 3 of us. Well, 4 of us, and then a guy that way down there. So this is just a prettier view, and it doesn't feel like we're at the mall of boats. We came out here to get away, not to join the mall of people. So this is just about, it was about a 5-minute boat ride, had to get around some rocks, and got back in here where it's really quiet. Really nice. Glad we did it.
seal? Do you see that seal out there? Where is it? Where's that seal?
Hiking and fishing, canoeing and camping are all available at Montague. You're welcome to have your dog on the beach as well, as long as he's on a leash. All those activities sounded fun, but we decided to sit and relax. We had been in the boat cruising to our destination all day, so we were ready just to soak in the quiet beauty around us. Some facts about Montague that will be helpful. There is a grocery store, and diesel and zero ethanol gas, crab pot fishing if you have a Canadian license, and the maximum vessel length for the dock is 11 meters or 36 feet. The White Shell Beach on the north side of the park marks evidence of natives living here, dating back 3,000 years. These are castaway shells left by centuries of harvesting in many areas of the park. Waves crush the shells and then redeposit them to create white shell beaches. Archaeological excavations here have unearthed arrows, spearheads, and stone carvings, helping in our understanding of earlier cultures. It was also this particular night on the Shell Beach that I met a young man, probably in his mid-30s, who was visiting from Ireland. We exchanged greetings when I noticed he had a camera set up on the shore. He began telling me that he is a photographer and takes pictures as he travels to support his cause. He was at Montague Harbor to visit his girlfriend and decided to go down to the beach to capture some sunset photos. I could tell by the quality of his camera the photos would be stellar. He told me a little bit about Ireland in his thick accent, and we chuckled at my understanding of some of his Irish idioms. I don't remember the ones he used, but an example would be to say, "It's a soft old day," meaning it's raining with no end in sight. Or, "It's culchy around there," meaning it's mostly agricultural. I shared some of ours from the South where I grew up, "putting on the dog," or "well, bless her heart," sometimes meaning anything but a kindness. Although I was enjoying our conversation, I soon realized I had to catch up to Paul and little Gracie, who had continued their walk down the beach. So we said our goodbyes. I only wish I had recorded that conversation. It became comical, or at least we thought so. We relaxed, listening to a guy play his guitar and entertain his travel mates. The sound of the rich tones of his guitar carried clearly across the water, and it was beautiful. The next morning, we waked to another beautiful mid-June day. By the way, July and August are the months with the most boating tourists in the area we're visiting. We came in June for that very reason. If you can plan your trip for this time of year, you will enjoy all the beauty and actually have some room to drop anchor. On this morning, we took the time to put our Canadian burgee on our boat to look more like a local. Well, our high-flying American flag off our transom gave us away, I'm sure. Paul had been checking navigational charts from various sources and inspecting tide charts to get an accurate reading of currents through Dodd Narrows. Paul said we should leave Montague Harbor no later than 11 a.m. to arrive at the Narrows in time for slack tide. Slack tide can be tricky. The definition for slack tide, published by the NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is this. In the open ocean, tidal currents are relatively weak. Near estuary entrances, narrow straits, and inlets, the speed of tidal currents results in a strong current and can reach up to several kilometers per hour, or 1.86 miles per hour. This momentum can literally push a boat where you do not want it to go, and you have very little control over it. So predicting slack tide with accuracy is important for many reasons. As we approached the Narrows, we were hearing other boaters over the radio who were waiting for their turn to pass through. Each vessel is advising us of their length, their boat name, and whether they are northbound or southbound, so that two opposing boats do not find themselves in the Narrows together.
It's very busy at slack tide.
I was just relieved that Paul was in command at the helm. It was just a bit too stressful for me.
Okay, that's Dodd Narrows. So out in the distance out there on the shore, you can see a logging mill. That is one of the reasons we had so much debris in the water. Of course, we have a lot of logs around Friday Harbor, so we're used to dodging logs in the water, but this was quite a few more than we're used to seeing. Like you see all those over there, if you can see them. I'll try to zoom in. And that's why one of the reasons everybody was talking back and forth to one another about watch for logs going through Dodd's Narrows, which seemed like a lot of drama for a 2-minute ride, but we've heard it can be very dangerous going through there with high tide.
In fact, I've included links to 2 YouTube videos that show 2 different boats going through at different times when the tide was against them, and you can see how dangerous it can be. So don't forget to check those links below in the description. Later that day, we did make it to Nanaimo, and as we were walking through the park, we noticed a sunken sailboat. It intrigued us, and we decided to make our way back down to our boat and get our dinghy out and go out onto the water and see it from the water side and check it out.
Come on.